14-point fourth quarter lead. If you were watching the game last night, I presume both of you were, really wasn't worried about that. They were up 20 at the end of the first quarter. They're up 29 at the half, with or without AD. LeBron asserting his dominance in a dominating win over the Dubs.
And that's when I finally got up out my chair and went upstairs and left everybody downstairs, and they was wondering, why did I just leave?
That thing was over in the second quarter.
It's like, I'm not coming back down there, Jay. Game over. I'm upstairs now.
It did lead me down this path, though, Key, because as I'm watching Dennis Schroeder, and he played his tail off last night, there's a difference when him and LeBron are on the court together. But if it's just LeBron and Dennis Schroeder, and say for some reason AD doesn't come back, it made me think about, man, even if Kevin Durant doesn't come back for Brooklyn, just with James Harden and Kyrie Irving, I think that's enough for them to win a championship. I don't think that's the case for the Lakers. Now, you can say that's because the Lakers are in the West. The gauntlet's a little bit different in the West. But I think with the way Kyrie and James Harden play together in the East with teams like Milwaukee, even if Philadelphia is playing really well with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, I think that's enough for the Nets to come out of the East and potentially win the whole thing, even if they didn't have Kevin Durant.
See, I feel like the field is even all the way across the board. If for some reason, like you said, AD is not back, I think the Lakers take a dip, and the field becomes somewhat even.
Neutral.
Yeah, I think when you think about it, the Clippers, I mean, obviously Paul George, if he's healthy, he's cooking, and Kawhi and
they
everybody else.
look like poop the other night against Milwaukee. I mean,
yeah,
yes.
I mean, every now and then we all have a stinker here and there.
True,
but I think that they'll be pretty even with the Lakers, Utah, Denver. You know, and then you start talking about Phoenix. What is that going to be? Portland. But then when you get in the East, for me, the two teams are still the two teams. It's the Sixers and the Nets, or the Nets and the Sixers.
You don't got Philly up there? You don't got Milwaukee in there? I mean, you said
the Sixers,
I'm sorry,
right?
Milwaukee? You don't have Milwaukee in there?
I just don't trust Giannis like that, though, man.
Maybe I mean, look, he shot. I mean, he had a game-changing dunk the other day in that game against the Clippers. But still, the Clippers were playing a dude at the free throw line. Giannis was at the three-point line, Key. I've never seen it. It's so disrespectful. I wonder what the equivalent would be as far as somebody guarding you as a wide receiver. But Giannis was at the three-point line, and dudes were playing him at the free throw line, saying, "Go ahead, if you want to beat us, go ahead and shoot it."
Well, what would be to that is people trying to get in your face in football and try to
press you
because they feel like you're not going to run by them. But then they wind up getting cooked, and then they, because they misjudge the situation, right? I mean, that's kind of how that goes. But you think about, and the reason I say I like Giannis. It's like it's like food, right? You could get a burger that you like. You're like, oh man, I'm fired up for this burger. You go and you get it. And he's like, well, man, I could have just went to McDonald's and been cool. Because in the end, it didn't give you that satisfaction like you thought. And I think that is the way I look at Giannis. I'm fired up for it. Then in the end, when the playoffs come, it's like, well, man, what did you expect?
Well, because you know what it's going to be. And look,
well, at least that's what it's been, right?
I mean, they did try to add Drew Holiday. It was his first game back yesterday, even though he didn't play well, COVID tracing, things of that sort. I do think he gives them an extra dynamic down the stretch, but I don't think it's enough for Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee kind of reminds me of the same team they were last year. I think it will come down to Philadelphia and the Brooklyn Nets. Not having AD, man, he's such a game changer because that's LeBron James peanut butter and jelly. That's peanut butter and jelly 2.0. If LeBron and D Wade were PBJ, the first version, like this is the next iteration of that. And it makes the game easier for them all the way around.
But can LeBron do what he was able to do in Cleveland at times without having a true a running mate, where Dennis is more of a 2B instead of a 2A?
Yeah.
Can he put enough on his back to make up the difference for whatever AD left behind?
But see, I think that's what we had a chance to find out a little bit during that stretch when Dennis wasn't there and when AD wasn't there, right? Like it was, look, LeBron is still a machine. LeBron can do things that are superhuman. I forget what game they were about to play, and we were like, hey, it was against the Utah Jazz without Dennis Schroeder and AD. I was like, hey, man, look, like I wouldn't put it past LeBron to go off for like 40 and have a triple-double and potentially win this game. I'm not saying that one game was an indictment on LeBron. LeBron is still incredible. But I don't know if LeBron is the same LeBron he was 10 years ago that can put a whole team on his back the way he used to be able to do that. He needs the extra pieces to help. And I don't know if Dennis Schroeder is that one person to get them over the hump to get out of the West.
But ever since he's been back, what are they, 2-0
2-0.
now? So they're 2-0 with Schroeder back in the lineup.
Beat Portland, beat Golden State. I mean, they blitzed Golden State last night.
Yeah, beat both teams. I mean, they're not juggernauts, but they at least took care of business, right, Zubin?
Yeah, let's reset the situation. So you're wondering what the Suns are going to be. That's interesting because that's who the Lakers have next tomorrow. So we'll see if the Lakers can go to 3-0. Just to set the rest of the week, by the way, we're already at the All-Star break, which is a little bit weird with this schedule. Just a reminder, we'll have games every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then there'll be a slate of games on Thursday. Then the league will be off Friday, Saturday, All-Star games Sunday. And then we'll resume action next Wednesday. Jay invoked Giannis as the two-time defending MVP. LeBron is making a great case for the award himself, playing without AD. He's getting a little bit tired of answering this question, but yes, it is, again, after the game last night, his job to figure out how to move this team forward.
It's my job to, like you said, to figure it out, and on both sides of the floor. And I think defensively, I've just been a little bit more active, trying to be in the right position where that it benefit our team, benefit myself. But I've just been flying around, and it's helped out our team. And everyone's been flying around. They've helped me out as well too. So I'm definitely not okay with losing. And so it's my job to figure it out what's going to be the best for our team. And we've done a good job of that the last couple games.
And Jay, I think if you make the case for LeBron being the MVP, it's a strong case to make, but you've got another guy, you briefly mentioned it here at the top, another guy that's closing fast and in your mind has surpassed the king for the moment.
The leading board right now, James Harden, Joel Embiid, and LeBron James. I think LeBron James lost a little bit of that luster during that stretch when both Dennis Schroeder and AD have been out. Obviously, they didn't win the game. It was tough for him. He still played well, but I think we were kind of wondering if LeBron James could put this team on their backs, on his back, and really carry them to the next level. Joel Embiid, he's been dominant in the East, and I think James Harden, without KD, even though they lost one the other night at home to Dallas, he's just been playing out of his mind. Now, look, LeBron James can easily get back into this race. This is not over. This is constantly fluid and moving. But as of right now, James Harden, number 1, Joel Embiid, number 2, LeBron James, number 3.
James Harden's been cooking for sure, but I'm not ready to just because LeBron James dropped 3 games without AD in the lineup and Schroeder in the lineup. Was it 3 or 4? Well, I don't remember the number. It's either 3 or 4 games.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah,
they lost
4 games.
4 games without those 2 in the lineup. I'm not ready to just decide that LeBron James isn't the MVP and he doesn't have the momentum that he had prior to that. You just gotta look at where they are down the stretch opposed to before the All-Star break.
Which I would say, look, James Harden was by himself without Kyrie and KD. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks, so it kind of hints to Key's point a little bit. But still, that 4-game losing streak, you did want to see something a little bit extra from LeBron potentially.
You guys did bring some anecdotal things to the table there on Harden. Let me just be the guy that didn't play. Let me give you the statistical notion.
Really?
For what?
You didn't play?
It's hard to believe. If you're listening on the radio, you probably can't tell. But it's one of those things where I would say this is the number one reason for Harden for MVP right now. He used to lead the league or be the league leader in a stat that's important but not flattering. It's called usage rate, right? Always touching the ball, dribble, kick your leg out, go to the free throw line with 2 seconds to go on the. Well, that's his thing, right? I just looked at James Harden's usage rate. It's down to 34th in the league. All this familiar characters. Giannis is up there. Luka's number 2. Giannis is there in the top 10. Harden's at 34. He has to share the ball with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, yet he's still making a huge impact. So if you can evolve your